Welcome back to the Culturally Distinct Podcast. This is your boy, DJ KO. I'm glad you guys tuned back into the show. I had to do an emergency show for this one right here because it's a topic that's been hitting the streets. It's hot. When I say hot, it's hot. You have individuals that's been talking about this since day one. So day one was Saturday after the SWAC championship. And you guys already know what I'm talking about, Deion Sanders. Of course, that's the topic of discussion today. I got a lot of professionals on the show today that, we've been talking over the last couple of hours, and they've been giving me their professional take on it. So I wanted to get it on camera because I think that a lot of people, I guess, misinterpret certain things, or they look at certain things in a certain way. So I want to get the word out. So today we have on the show, we have Dr. Hilton Lasalle. We have Vondrick Christmas. We have Dr. Misty Reed. We have Troy Williams. We have Kimberly Williams, no kin. And we have the beautiful, intelligent Robin Owens.
Hey, y'all.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Everybody's good?
All is well, my brother. All is well.
For sure. So the rules of the game is basically everybody's going to get an opportunity to talk. You know what I'm saying? I know it's going to get passionate a little bit. I will ask everybody to get at least 2 or 3 minutes to take their spill after I ask the questions, and we're going to have a healthy dialogue. Gang, that's good? All right, first question I got for you guys. And then we're going to hit the ground running, all right? We're hitting the ground running. Was this a selfish move by Deion Sanders? Misty?
I think that's a layered question. So I think all rules that we make for ourselves are innately selfish. But overall, no, I think he did what he came to do, and he got out of it what a professional is supposed to do, elevation. Okay, so
Dr. Lasalle, I know, man, you've been talking for the last couple of hours, and we've been going back and forth. What's your take on it?
So I've gone back and watched the videos, and it's unfortunate that I've assumed a lot of my time with this the last 2 days, but it hit me personally, just thinking about not having the best relationship with my father. Not that we had a bad relationship, but just recognizing the value of it. And then being a father myself of a 12-year-old son and seeing the value of that. But I had to go to the Bible, and it says in Luke 12:48, for everyone to whom much is given, from him much will be required. And so I think about that in when Deion accepted this responsibility, and when Deion took the role that he took and played the role that he played, I think he played a father figure role in a lot of those young men's lives. I think he gave hope not only to Jackson State, but he elevated it to another level and said, the SWAC, I am SWAC.
Okay.
An elevation would have been, SWAC commissioner and do what you did for all the other, HBCUs. And so I live in a household where we have 4 different HBCU graduates: Dillon University, Southern University, Prairie View University, and Texas Southern University. And so when I think about my experiences and my wife's experiences at these HBCUs, we lack the resources. And I just think that he took up on this responsibility, and I think that he could have handled the situation a lot different.
So Vondrick, I see you have your Southern shirt on. That means you have passion and pride for your university. So I take it that the move that Deion made was a selfish move. Was it?
I think 2 things can be true. That's kind of what I tell people all the time, right? I think he did make a selfish move, but I think what he did what he said he was going to do, right? He had a 3-year contract, 3 or 4 year contract. This year 3. I think if he would have went 6-6, we wouldn't be having this conversation, right?
Okay.
Like the whole problem is he dominated and he won the way he won. And, you know, people tend to clinch and just, they want to hold on to that. You know, us, we got a savior complex, I think, personally. We want everybody to come save us, but we got to save ourselves.
Ooh, like, okay. I like that. So I want to go to Robin with this because I know Robin, I know she's passionate about this. Saving us. Why do you think we need a savior in our culture? Is that something that's needed, or is that just something that Black people put on? They put the responsibility on a leader.
Wow, that's tough. I think that we as a people don't have a single perspective. And I think one of the biggest things that we can do is train ourselves away from saying Black people this, and then therefore have a certain conclusion. Some of us probably do feel like we need a savior. I don't know that, especially in given what we've seen in our world in the past several years, that we all still feel that way. But to go back to Deion and whether or not he it was a selfish move that he made, that's a hard one for me. I think that the point that I want to bring up is before Jackson State, he didn't have any coaching offers at the college level. There were no PWIs offering him positions. And so this HBCU did for him what it does for so many of us, gives you the first opportunity and the platform to showcase your talent and your ability. So Jackson State did for Deion what it was supposed to do for him. The question on the table is, did he do enough for Jackson State, number one? And I would say that answer is unequivocally yes. But I think the debate is, he came in saying, I'm going to do something for HBCUs. And did his time at Jackson State allow him to deliver on that promise? That's number one. And then the second part of that is, just because he made that promise, is he beholden to us to fulfill that, given a 12x salary opportunity? And the chance to elevate his son and continue that trajectory and take care of his staff.
So
I mean, there's a lot. And then we're going to get into the whole racism he's about to experience, maybe if we have time, because that's a whole nother topic. But anyway, I probably am over my minute, so I'm gonna stop.
So I saw Troy shaking his head. I see Troy shaking his head as a former athlete. Would you, as a former athlete, would you have been disappointed if your head coach did that to you? If he made a promise to you and said, well, we're going to go to the mountaintop together, but all of a sudden left? How would you feel about
that? As an 18, 19-year-old, I probably would have felt some kind of way. But I'm grown now, right?
Okay.
We all have career goals. At least I hope we do. I don't know that he's been clear on what his career goals are. And I don't know that any of us know what they are. So the fact that he's moving on, I mean, I'm not mad at Deion at all. I think Jackson State should be like overly appreciative of how he's turned that program around so quick. What I don't like hearing, I hear people say all the time, you know, you scroll through your timeline, Deion has done so much for HBCUs, he's done so much for the SWAC, and, you know, we should be appreciative of the time that he's spent here. My question is, or my response to that is, that's broad. That's pretty vague. Like, put some meat behind that. What are those things that you say he did for HBCUs? What are those things you say he's done for the SWAC? Because I don't necessarily see it. Because Deion has leverage that other coaches in the SWAC just don't have. Deion is Deion. This guy is a superstar. And he's a superstar with swag that resonates with young men. So when Deion comes and sits in your living room to talk to you and your parents, it's going to come off totally different from, you know, Brian Kelly or Nick Saban or any of these other top coaches at these PWIs. I think Deion is going to be a draw at whatever school he goes to. I wish him the best of luck. I just would push back on him uplifting the SWAC or uplifting HBCU. I don't necessarily see that.
So I'm going to go to you from a professional career standpoint, because you deal with kids all day, you know, being a leader, being a principal. Now, isn't a person's goal or mission is to go to the next level in their career, right? So as a principal, if you had the opportunity to get another position that you may go to, say, a mostly majority white school where you have more money, but it's going to help you and your family out. Would you take that opportunity?
So we did have this discussion yesterday, right? So one of the key terms I heard Deion say when he talked about you either elevate or you get terminated. And that is true. When you're in a leadership position, it doesn't matter if it's professional or whatever, or you coaching and things like that. Even in our profession, that's one of the things, like, we always make decisions based on our family, funding. Of course, everything is going to be around money. Because one of the things he did have, remember, he funded a lot of things out of his own pocket for the university. I felt like he did bring a lot of limelight to the university. So kids were able, especially minority kids, were able to get a chance to see themselves on ESPN and get looked at compared to, other D1 schools, right? In which, knowing that I've been a person that went to TSU, went to U of H, just seeing the difference between the two. But that was something, even professional, where we talk about, because we tend to take positions also based on the next level. Yeah. We know if we stay in a position too long, there's a possibility that, say you don't perform one of those years, then possibility can be on the list of being terminated. And I've seen it happen in professional world, as far as in principalship and even in other, elements of different professions. And so I can see him taking this piece and moving to the next level to another university to see what type of impact he can make there that he did at Jackson State.
So to answer that, because and this is the answer for everyone, and Dr. J.R. Ashley has joined the conversation. What's going on, Doc? We have all these doctors on here. You guys are educated, man. So I want to know why, as Black people, why do we put people on pedestals and expect them to live up to our expectations? What's up with that?
I think it's our religious complex.
That's interesting. How so?
I watched this documentary on Amazon Prime the other day. It's contradiction, but it's really about people who have a firm belief in Jesus versus those who do not believe in Jesus or believe in nothing, and made great points about are Black people sick? Because the purpose is, let me rephrase my point. We as a people historically have looked to a being for grace and salvation. I am a Christian and I look for that same thing, but we kind of tend to forget the part of belief and the work that must come with it to sustain. So we reach out on that belief and keep the work ethic way back here, and they don't really collide and then get upset when we don't get our way. So we, or those people in Jackson, that's how it started, put all their belief in that man to save their school, when that's just not the way it should have moved in the first place. And I will back that with, clearly, I'm from Prairie View. We had Cynthia Cooper. Now, let's not be confused. She is that girl. No one raised the stitch when she went to TSU. But that is because Prairie View did not look to Cynthia Cooper to save the university. You are here. You are for athletics. Thank you for what you did. She did her thing, and then she moved on. So the mistake I think that people invested in Jackson made, and those who out of the SWAC who are putting in their opinion made in Deion, is unfortunate that you put him to save your school as an entity when your school should have been standing on something firmly on its own. And with or without him, which I call an accessory, you should be able to move on. So now, if you can't, your risk management department needs to get to work.
So to answer that, and Dr. Ashley, you could come in, you could chime in. To answer that, I heard a lot of people say that they put Deion on the level, not on the level for as politics and helping a great multitude of people, for as with the civil rights movement, but for as with the type of impact on the same level of Martin Luther King Jr.
In that city?
In that city. So that is crazy. Robin, go ahead.
So I think there are a couple of things. One, Cynthia Cooper, I'm sure when she came to Prairie View, didn't say, I'm coming here to do X, Y, and Z other than coach basketball and provide you with a winning season. You know what I'm saying? And that's why she was successful and appreciated in her interest and in her exit, because she came, understood her role, and did her job, you know? I think that when Deion came into Jackson State, he promised a lot of things beyond Jackson State. And I think in fairness, he delivered on a lot of those things. I think one of the hardest things to tease out from this is the impact of his personality. And I think you think about an Ed Reed, you think about an Eddie George, some amazing Hall of Fame football players who could or are phenomenal coaches, wouldn't have the same impact that Deion Sanders had. I think Jackson State was wise to take advantage of his star power. Ride that star for as long as that trajectory was going to go. And anybody who thought that it was going to last, and I was one of them, I wanted it to last longer than it did. But anybody who thought that that was his end game, I think was deluded. And I don't know, but I don't think he gave anybody the impression that I plan to retire at Jackson State.
So I want to ask you a question also, because we're looking at it, and don't get me wrong, it's always two sides to the coin, right? So we're looking at it from an exit point of view and him helping, himself out and his family. Now, we all went to HBCUs, guys. Let's be real now. The economics and the way the money is handled at HBCUs are very, very scarce, and they do things very ancient. So I love my HBCU, but they still stuck in 1967. The way they handle things with their system, the way they handle things. So now,
I think, well, sometimes that's out of necessity, though, right? We've always been asked to do a lot more with a lot less.
Okay.
And I don't think somebody as meticulous, and these are his words, as meticulous and as methodical as Brother Sanders didn't know that coming in. Those are conversations he's had about the budget, about, the way he structured his contract where he would get his money on the back end. People took offense to him tinkering with the tickets. Well, if you couldn't pay him outright or up front, he said, okay, if I bring more people to the game, you'll pay me for my performance. It's like a performance contract, right?
Right.
I didn't have a problem with those incentives. It makes sense. If my brand, if my face brings the profile of Jackson State football to that next level, then reward me so that I can turn around and pay my staff. I don't think he was bamboozled into thinking we had more money than we did. If he did have a problem with the way business was handled, I haven't heard him have a problem complaining about the rats in the locker room.
I think he did.
He did. Oh, that's my point. He did.
Yeah.
He didn't have a problem doing that. He's been vocal all these other times when Jackson State would announce that the stadium was sold out, but the receipts for tickets was only $20,000.
And that's real.
He put that business on Front Street.
That's right.
That ain't really the way we do it around our way. You keep grandma business at grandma's house. But he did that. But in my mind, he was talking to us. He kind of made it blatant. Look, I'm speaking to us. These are things we need to work on to get to that next level.
Question, Doc. How long is long enough? And let me tell you what I mean by that.
But this is my problem. As a man, if I told you that a week ago about my wife, and then I'm divorced a week later, that's what I call lukewarm.
That's called media training.
So now you playing me, right?
No.
That's the only beef I got. You are playing me. No, you're playing me because you've been very upfront and all the look. At this point, I got to call him a pimp named Slipback or Reverend Shady Sanders.
But that's the problem. That's the problem that go on. I think, everybody always got a problem with the messenger and not the message. He really did shine a light on all the discrepancies that happens at HBCUs, and he did it on purpose. Now you see him last night. If you saw the videos last night, him walking in Colorado, we looking at a totally different place. They got like 5 different rooms. The stadium is crazy. It's several entrances to get inside the stadium. So he's showing you the difference between, okay, this is what HBCU life look like. This what PWI life look like, right? So what y'all gonna do about it? Because we're gonna follow the path. You know what I mean? Let's be clear. It's not like we're gonna start watching Prime. We still gonna watch him. We don't support him. I went to Southern. I wasn't rooting for Jackson State, but I still was kind of rooting for what he was trying to do on a big level. But I see the difference between when he walked in Colorado last night, getting out of Sprint in the private jet, than him catching buses. And you know what I'm saying? I got to cut it.
Don't do that.
Look, hey, they was putting Prime in 3-4 vehicles. He had 3-4 Suburbans. He was riding like the president. You're not telling us anything that Prime didn't know a week before he made that press conference where he said, I'm as happy as a pig in cotton, as a pig in slop. And when he was specifically asked about those other jobs, he didn't give the impression that he was in it to win it. He specifically said, we have more work left to do.
So let me ask you this. So you're saying, I'm going to you, Robin, next. So you're saying that this is a black and white thing, basically.
Oh, for me.
For you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I cut the deck is that when you play us on our cultural love for you, because I'm going to use your title, right? You played us on the cultural love. You said God sent you because he wanted to see our spaces celebrated and adorned with the same caliber of players that other spaces do. And we deserve that light because we grow these students, right? We grow these athletes.
We're gonna go to Robin, then we're gonna come back to Dr. Hilton. Go ahead, Robin.
Somebody said early on that 2 things can be true at once. 2, 3, or 4 things can be true at once in this Deion thing. And I really hope at the end of the day, folks are not as mad at him as we are just understanding the layers and the complexity of navigating higher education. I think the one thing we talk about how HBCUs are so underfunded, and what my dad was an athletic director at TSU in the late 90s. And he would talk about having a roll of cash in his sock to travel back and forth because of the way you had it. I mean, just how it was. But come to find out at this point in Tennessee, in Texas, in Maryland, the Black caucuses are either taking lawsuits or have won lawsuits against the state governments for their systemic underfunding of Black colleges as compared to the white public institutions. And so when we look at the fact that we don't have any money for athletics and stadiums and those kind of things, it's by design, just like almost everything else. So it is a Black and white issue. It's 100%. It was a legislative issue in every one of these states where our schools are still thriving like we always do, regardless, still thriving despite. And I just add that in because when we say, well, our schools are in such bad shape and we need to do better, we are dealing with a quarter of the deck, a tenth of the deck that our PWI counterparts are. And I went to Howard and then I went to Michigan. And so to see the difference, especially from an athletic standpoint, the academics were parallel. I'll say that till I would stand on that. Howard prepared me academically to be wherever I needed to be in Michigan and beyond. But athletics, I was there in the Fab Five and the Desmond Howard days. There was no comparison back then or now. And I think those kind of things you can't replicate without the kind of resources that rich boosters, wealthy alumni, and anti-racist policies provide for your institution. So I don't think we can scapegoat Deion for everything that he highlighted. I really think that's a little bit unfair. And I know I feel like none of us are doing that, but I think when we hear people talking about he should have, that goes back to that savior thing, Adam. You got to say, that's a heavy burden.
We're gonna go to Dr. Lasalle. Dr. Lasalle, so is the ice colder on the other side, basically?
Well, I'm going to yield my time back to Dr. J because I'm still in my feelings right now, and it's hard for me to articulate myself. But I just think that, it's not so much of what you do, it's how you do it. And I think Deion could have been a lot more transparent. I mean, you really dug into some emotion for young Black men, and you gave hope to a conference. And I think another elevation option would have been, SWAC commissioner and replicate this at all the HBCU. So I'm gonna yield my time because I'm still in my feelings. I have to be honest with you.
All right, so I have a question. So anybody can jump in and answer this question. So when I posed the question, how long is long enough? He was there for 3 years. Now we're talking facts now. He was there for 3 years. He won 2 SWAC championships, right? He got a lot of kids NIL deals. He got a lot of kids opportunity to get looked at by the NFL, which was his major goal. He raised major capital for the city of Jackson alone, not just for the SWAC conference, but for the city of Jackson. He made mention to the water crisis that went on in Jackson, Mississippi. So he did a lot of things for the city, and in return, what did he get? Because I remember he was saying, I'm bringing $30 million to the city, and not one person, not one business owner is coming and cutting a check, $100 check to us. So what's the problem? But nobody want to talk about that.
You don't, well, you don't get what you want, you get what you negotiate, right?
That's true.
I don't know the details of his negotiation. I don't know if they went to him and offered him anything. We don't know. He didn't make an allusion to that. What I did hear him say is that you are either elevated
or terminated.
That wasn't cool.
But
that was a slap in the face. It was uncool because that's true, what you're telling me is that every white space is an elevation.
No, that's not what that man meant.
Wait, let me finish. No, he specifically said, I look around at these facilities
I kind of feel
these butter biscuits and these, we already knew the facility. Again, that's all it is.
So how many people think, how many people think Dr. Ashley is taking that out of context?
I'm with you. Let me pose the question to you, since I know you for as a close friend. You was in the band, right? I don't know all the logistics, and we would have, like, when Doc was there, and Doc would have let the band get all the sponsorships we could have gotten, like, you think the band could have brought in more? Because New Orleans and Louisiana as a whole, it's a band state, right? Yeah. Am I not mistaken? And the SWAC is the band. It's the band and it's the football team and the band. They go hand in hand.
It's a package, right?
We know how Southern attract just as much as the football team attract, right? But it was a point in time where, you know, the leaders to be wasn't getting the sponsorships, or they wouldn't let them go out there and get that money and do things like we could have did with that money. Could we have brought in more people using that as an angle like Deion did?
I think we have to. I think that's a beautiful takeaway from what he did. Remember when we used to bring people to the sidelines, but we kind of saved it for Bayou Classic and things of that nature. He was bringing a new face every week. And not just bringing them in the locker room, but he was actually putting it on social media. He was putting them on the sideline. We can't do the same thing everybody else does.
Well, Misty, I want to go back to Misty.
We got to do stuff like that.
Is Doc taking it out of context, stating that either you're terminated or you're elevated? He's saying that the white side is heaven and the black side is damnation.
I think you're confounding issues. I think you're confounding two things. When he made that statement, he was referring to, as a coach and your job, you either move on or you get fired. That's the start and the stop of it. I'm a coach's child from Grambling. You either elevate or you terminate. There's no two choices with that. Move while you're doing good or go until you start losing, and it's the pieces. And Jackson State would have showed no loyalty to fire him. They didn't even show loyalty on his last game. You're going to boot him in?
So you got to leave. Go ahead and leave the whole stadium. I'm like, that's disrespectful.
I mean, all the stuff he did for Jackson. So clearly you didn't want him and you don't want his kids to stay, because how I'm going to stay and you booing my daddy?
He was gone already.
I feel that.
Yeah,
he was gone. They didn't boo.
I think that's the problem.
They did boo that man. You didn't see the video?
They knew he was gone. He was gone.
But the point is, just like you said, it's a way that Deion should have did stuff. I agree. It's a way to do stuff. But on that other side of the quarter, it's a way that you do stuff too as the audience. So my daddy going.
It's almost like if you slap me, I get in trouble for the way I responded to your slap. Deion it was a slap.
He didn't slap them people. God didn't give him. He said God talked to him and said that he should come. God didn't say he got to stay forever.
He called him collect.
He didn't tell him God. He didn't tell him
to do something. In this little bit of time, that man did a lot. And if we as uses really even paid attention to that man saying he's SWAC, because let's not get it confused. From my perspective, Eddie Robinson Sr. will only always be SWAC as far as coaches. So if we ever even bit into that, we were delusional in the first place. There's never going to be another Eddie Robinson Sr. that's going to stay and be loyal. After him and Pete Richardson left, that loyalty stuff, that's out the window.
Troy, So is Deion Sanders considered as a sellout for doing what he did? Then I'm going to Kim.
Look, I got just about 29 million reasons why you can't call that man a sellout.
Okay.
All right. So when that bag comes talking, like, you're gonna listen, right? So I don't know how much money Deion was making at Jackson State, but it's pennies compared to what he's making now. And Deion can say all he wants. This is not about the money. I'm not buying into any of that. Okay. I think Deion left for a better opportunity, for more money, more exposure for his kids, because he has something else that he's trying to reach. We don't know what his career goals are. That's one thing that he hasn't clearly articulated. I agree with Jay. I agree with Dr. Ashley on his approach and how he sold us a dream. I didn't like that. I didn't like how he aired the SWAC's dirty laundry. He had a whole press conference to talk about why these SWAC schools are getting paid chump change to go play PWIs. Valid point, no doubt. I hate the fact that we have to watch HBCUs go get their head kicked in against Georgias and LSUs and whoever, just so they can fund their athletic program. But if I'm an athletic director at Alcorn, and I know I need $300,000 to fund my athletic program, when I go sit down with that AD at Georgia trying to negotiate a price to come play you guys, when he offers me $350,000, I'm saying, where do I sign? Because I don't have the leverage that Deion Sanders has. You don't have the leverage that Deion Sanders has. You can't be like Deion Sanders and go talk to your friends at American Airlines and say, hey, when we have a game so far, can you come fly us out there? You can't just pick up the phone and call Michael Strahan and say, hey, man, can you buy everybody on my team a new suit so we can look decent whenever we go on the road trip? Everybody doesn't have that leverage. Deion is Deion. And he brought that with him to Jackson State. I don't know how that transfers over to the rest of the SWAC. People say that he left the blueprint. Maybe he did leave a blueprint, but how do you follow it?
So
like, what does that follow?
They need to figure out how they're gonna follow that.
Let me ask Kim this. So as a leader, and say you was at this school for say 3 years, and you helped the school, you helped with the APR, you helped with the grades, you helped with the parents, you helped with the community, you helped all kind of ways, and you decided that you was going to leave, and they had a loudspeaker and they was playing a song, say you want to leave, go ahead and leave. One monkey don't stop the show. How would you feel about that?
I'm getting in my car, packing myself already packed. And like I say, a lot of leaders and people have been in those positions where there are other opportunities. And I think sometimes on the table, you also see opportunities as, you know, it's either now or never. Do we take that opportunity while he's at the height of his career before it gets to a point? Now, like we said, going back, I also think it shine light on, as alumni, what are we doing to give back to build our own universities and things like that? You know, and then now we don't know his intentional goal, because now we're looking at, is he trying to show a division or divide between your minority, Black, African-American HBCUs versus, you know, your white D1 big schools, and what are they doing different than we can't do at our own universities? So I can see he was opportunist. He said that. I mean, he said he was going to take the opportunity, even though they offered him, what, $5 million a year annually. Now they're saying they don't have, what we said, all the money. Mm-hmm. So who's gaming who at this point?
All they had to do was whisper that. They're going to have that money. They'll have that money. There's no question.
Yeah. So that was kind of my take on it. Like, if you're offered that opportunity to take more money, you're not funneling additional money out of your salary to uphold things that you need at the university.
And I was going there, and this is one of my final questions. Do the SWAC schools, Black colleges, do they continue to hire that celebrity hire? Because rumor has it that they're going to hire another Hall of Famer at Jackson State. That's rumor. I don't know how true it is, but they're going to hire another Hall of Famer.
Robin mentioned Ed Reed already. Ed Reed is that next guy that's going to fill in that slot.
I
think he can repeat what Deion did. I'm going to shut up.
I think that they ought to continue to hire the coach that's going to bring them the revenue, the exposure, and the talent that they need to put the team on the field that they need to, if athletics are their priority. Mm-hmm. I think that's what they got to do. And I don't think that we should be, mad at them for that. You hire the best person for the job that's applying for your job. You know, if y'all have ever had to hire people, sometimes you got to pick from what you got. And if they have another celeb, you know, I think if it's Ed Reed, I think they ought to go with it. He's not Deion Sanders, and you're never going to get the Deion effect from anybody else. And I think we need to be careful that we don't compare the next Black coach at the next HBCU. Well, why couldn't you do what Deion did?
That's what they're going to do.
That's what they're going to do.
The unfortunate part. The next coach is never going to meet standards.
Cannot do that.
And that's how we're going to treat him. And another thing I want to say is, why would we send him out on that song, One Monkey Don't Stop No Show? But it was reversed. It was Colorado State kicking him out to send him to us, and they played One Monkey Don't Stop No Show. Here we go with the issue.
It's Mississippi. That song is like a 50 Cent #1 hit in Mississippi. So I get it. It was distasteful, but not in Mississippi. It's the perfect song. Especially when you know he's already signed up and he's got a jet already fueled up, and you know
limitation. Well, if you just told me to pack, my jet might as well be full.
No. He was that jet had gas in it before we played the song. Though.
But like Dr. LaSalle, folks' feelings were hurt. Like Dr. LaSalle, he said, I have friends who are crazy Jackson State alum, and Jackson State has had phenomenal homecoming and great football culture for years, way before Deion got there. Way before. And their feelings were hurt. So, you know, and that's what we do. We gonna clown you on your way out. You know, we might be all right. And I'll tell you, I'm not interested in watching him in Colorado. Not at all. I'm not.
Gonna watch.
And I'm not protesting. I'm just not interested.
The one thing I did like about all of it, and I think we should start doing it without it being so frowned upon, is the nepotism that he's doing with his son. I love it. And we don't do enough of it. And we need to start doing that just like that in front of them, like they do it in front of us. You know what I mean? And that way, look, I'm gonna blame my son.
I think that's what hurts a lot of us good brothers.
We put somebody on, we gotta whisper about it. Don't tell them I told you, I referred you.
Right. No, and he took his coaches. And he's taking care of his coaches. And that's the problem. Think about all the things that we want people to do when they get an opportunity. When you go there, you know, you make sure you take care of the folks that helped you get there. He's doing all that. We just want him to stay forever. And but even had he stayed for the next 15 years, Jackson State was never gonna beat Ole Miss. Right. Jackson State was never gonna beat Alabama. Like, not gonna happen. Because the white linemen are not coming to play for Jackson State. And that's the difference. And he said that, and y'all know that if y'all in athletics, skill positions are not what win games. That's not what makes the difference. It's the line. And you're not gonna get it.
So that was the thing. He told us why we were not winning or why he wasn't willing to sign up to play Alabama a couple months ago. But he said, give me 2 years. He said this a few months ago. Give me 2 years and I'll sign up to play Alabama. So everything he says with his mouth, what he did wasn't the same. We already know why our road to revolution.
2 years or $5 million is what he meant.
That's what he meant. So look, y'all probably not gonna like to hear this because again, I told you I'm not a football guy, but the revolution won't be televised from a football field because our best talent is always sifted out of our communities and spaces and taken to Alabama. And again, like I said, Alabama pays for their school off of our skilled positions, off of our defensive backs and linebackers and defensive ends, right? And offensive tackles. Because even if you look at Alabama's line, they're not all in one.
I want to ask that question. Let me ask you.
He admitted all he had to do was get enough of us to say, you know what, my first choice is going to be a space that looks like mine. And then what happens is the fact that we don't have the same expendable income goes out the window because if you want to see the best talent play, now that we have NIL, you have to pay our space. Now you got to build a stadium, help us build a stadium that you feel safe coming to.
This is the last question. Now, in saying that, because it's kind of in correlation to what I was going to ask. Opportunity for a little black boy, a little black girl that's in the hood, right? And they're the only option for their family to get out the hood to make a better living for their family. So according to you, and anybody could come in and chime in, according to you, do that person take that opportunity, right, to get them to that next level faster? Or do they go the HBCU route and struggle a little bit and start making smaller strides later on in life.
I'll give a short answer. Short answer.
Go ahead.
They will find you wherever you are. Jerry Rice didn't have a problem getting found, and the list goes on.
Those are outliers, I think.
Sweetness didn't have a problem getting found. I guess my point is the field is the same.
That's not gonna happen. The reason why that's not gonna happen is because, like he said, like Adam said, like first off, the kids you talking about that gotta do that is the kids that's like first generation college kids that gotta save their family. The ones that can go and can do that, they starting on second and third base, right? Everybody, the people that's on this, Miss Roberts, she said she went to Howard in Michigan. Her daddy was an AD. I don't really know you necessarily, but don't take it as a slight. I think she started on second base. She wasn't a first generation college kid, right? And I think Miss Reed, her daddy was a Grambling coach. That's second base. They can go to college and kind of be like, I can just kind of do my time and do whatever. But a person like somebody else, hypothetically, you first generation, NIL, I hear you, but that's still, the NIL a little bit bigger at Texas A&M than it is at Texas Southern University.
Only because they're still getting the best players.
And also NILs, and this is a whole team, I know, but NILs, those are only huge for the hugest players. I have a nephew who plays baseball at the University of Texas. You would think that's impressive. His NIL is tiny. Like it's not making the kind of money for the rank and file athlete that you think it is. And the big time athletes, as is always, are getting all the shine. The little people are going, and the smaller universities as well, are getting the short end of that too. But anyway, there's more conversation to be had.
We go get more of those.
Ms. Reed, do I need to facilitate this, Ms. Reed?
His name left. Dr. J. So yeah, I agree with him. If the revolution is going to start, we have to understand it has to start as it started with Martin Luther King. It just can't just be Deion. It has to be all of us. When there was no Deion and there was just Ed Robinson and all of us was going to the NFL, everybody stuck together and went to their own because they didn't even want to play us for fear of losing to us. They didn't want that type of embarrassment. So now I think it falls on your family. I work for the NFL on weekends. I just couldn't be there today because I got the flu. I talk to the coaches. They say all the time, these kids choose to go where they go. If they are there, we will come. That is the conversation in the coach's box, in the locker room, in the press box. So that's factual information. We think and make our kids think that you got to go to the LSU to be seen. No. Because those people in the NFL is for sure. At 8 a.m., you're the head coach. At 8:05, you fight. That's the way that goes. So we as a culture are going to have to instill that to our kids that, hey, go to this school. And plus, the second thing is, I don't like the fact that we're saying we can only save our family with this athletics. We can save our family becoming a medical doctor. We don't have to just play the sport.
So, Adam, I want to chime in.
Sometimes can be the athlete.
Your question contradicts everything that you said about Deion, and that was his message, and that was his motive, and that was his intention. At least that's what he articulated to us, and he did something completely different. This was a time and an opportunity for him to draw the type of attention that he did, invite other athletes with star power to come in the SWAC and other HBCUs, the same type of thing, where we could have got the momentum to where it didn't matter which school these kids went to, and had the opportunity to draw 5-star players to HBCU. So your question contradicts everything.
So we don't have that opportunity anymore because he's gone? Is that what you're saying? The opportunity is gone because Deion is gone?
No, I'm not saying that. But I think that he created that opportunity. He created that momentum. And I think for him, Dr. J so elegant said, he preached, he bamboozled. He used the culture so that he can get an opportunity that he didn't get in the beginning. And I just didn't think it was fair. And I think, had he been transparent or finished the job, hey, look, I'm going to give y'all 3 to 5 years. And at that time, I'm going to explore opportunities. And I know he gave 3, but he didn't clearly articulate that this is what I want to do. He sold us something completely different and opposite. And he gave a lot of hope to a lot of people. And, he made a decision that I think was extremely selfish.
would it be okay if he came in saying, "Hey, I'm 5 and out"? We would have been all right with that.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely, because we would have expected that. And I know, and Adam said, yeah, that's media training, but you're deceiving a culture of people, and I just didn't think it was fair. I think you gave a lot of hope to people who really was looking for that revolution in HBCU.
And the players he gave the hope to. He sold the players on loyalty and being ride or die with the coach.
But y'all, who else goes into a job and says, hey, I'm only going to be here for 3 years, but you don't replace me before I decide to leave? Who does that?
Owens.
He was at the top of his game. Nobody was looking to replace him. So for him to tell those young men, either you get replaced, there's no graveyard. Nobody expected him to be there and die, first of all. And second of all, nobody knew at this point in time, there was no way Jackson State would get rid of him. So for him to make that statement in that locker room was totally deceiving to those young men that, oh, it's a possibility that I'm gonna get fired, so I'm gonna take this opportunity. Now, one thing that I do agree with I think Ms. Owens said, I think Ms. Williams said, we don't know if he would have ever gotten this opportunity again. Had he stayed one more year and may have underperformed, I agree. That opportunity may not have been there for him. But I just think he was deceiving about it.
But bigger, his son could have gotten hurt. When you think about that, because again, he's coached his son since he was Pee Wee League at every single level. And so part of his trajectory and his plan has been, I'm going to shepherd this child till he gets the opportunity to get to his end result. And so he also probably had to factor that in. Like, we got to strike while the iron is hot for him too.
So it made it seem like JSTATE was the place to do that, though.
Well, he said,
paved the way for it.
He said, God called collect, and he answered the call. He said
he did.
He did answer the call.
He did.
How long you want me to be here? I took the Red Sea for you.
Hey, look.
Walk through. Come on, let's go.
Let's be clear. I think I can look at some of. I think everybody on this phone a little bit older than like 31, 32. I'm gonna go on base and say that. I just want to say that out there.
Yeah.
Man, you know,
our Savior, the Savior, the real Savior, he wasn't here that long. He did enough too. He did what he needed to do. Trust me. I don't know what the ROI would be. What more you want to do? He went undefeated and won 2 back-to-back SWAC championships. What more do he need to do right now?
What else do you want?
Jesus had a 3-year ministry. I see some synergy going here.
But
just what he said
still should go
and how he left.
You got ESPN. We on ESPN now. He got the Pepsi contract. He got what else?
Under Armour.
Now I think the Under Armour should be a universal thing across the SWAC, because he didn't do that. Because Under Armour, that's his own personal relationship he got with the CEO. I saw it. You got to go on YouTube to check that out.
Yes.
Because he brought him in to talk.
American Airlines.
If Under Armour was if they was the sole provider of the whole entire SWAC, like Pepsi is, like how the State Farm was doing the Bayou Classic, that'd be totally different.
So, somebody give me a resolution. One resolution that the SWAC could take, something from Deion, leading on to the next seasons to come. Give me a resolution.
Press into those same relationships.
Give each team that $1 million money game.
Okay. No, press into those same relationships. We're not saying, I don't think only Deion can do them, but he opened the door, lean on them, say, hey, this wasn't just no one time and you was just trying to fight off the culture thing. That conversation you had with Deion, we want to the SWAC would like to sit down with you and have that same conversation about airlines.
We're moving on. So guys, look, what we're gonna do is, look, I appreciate you guys for joining the show. What I want to do is, everybody has either a website or social media. I want you guys to give that, and so people can find you, because I know everybody has some great points, and I know this conversation could go on forever, but we have real life and we got things to do. So start from Troy. Give me your social media or your website or whatever you got going on. So then we're gonna move on to Misty, then Robin, Kim.
I'm typing it in the chat.
Oh, okay. I got you. But it's for the people that be watching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Troy.
So my Instagram is Troy DEEW. You can find me there.
Got you.
Twitter DEESU1. Those are the only 2 places I'm really on.
I like your shirt, by the way. Show me your shirt, man. It's called merch, baby. Black business. We promote black business. Go ahead, Misty.
My Instagram is at Creole Body Sculpting.
Okay. Oh, look, by the way, look, I want to say something about Misty. Misty she has a date in Louisiana. She was the youngest person ever to get a PhD in Louisiana. She was like 26. She's like a child.
Almost 26.
Oh, we or something like that. Wait away, moving on to Robin.
Let's get the credential right.
You're 26 now, right?
I wasn't old enough to drink when I got my PhD.
So you was what, 25 or something like that?
I wasn't old enough to drink it.
Yeah, she got a PhD. She's like a child prodigy, something wrong, you know, weird stuff. But anyway, go ahead, Robin.
Robin, what am I giving you?
Your
my
social
Instagram?
Media. Yeah.
Okay. Meal Prep with Me is my Instagram. It's my meal prep company on IG. I also have a consulting firm, the Odom Group, and that's my website, theodomgroup.com. Kim.
What? Don't spell mine out. You know, I put it in the chat. No, but MUAY_SWY THAI Instagram.
Lasalle?
LaSalle Consultants. You guys can just Google it on Facebook or Instagram. LaSalle Consultants.
What do you consult?
Christmas Vondrick on Instagram. I got hacked, so I'm redoing my whole IG right now. But I do construction, and the name of my company is Brothers United LLC.
Dr. Ashley?
I have a Instagram initiative called Eat Mo Sexy, EATMO Sexy. We're pushing plant-based eating and lifestyle changes for people. I have a men's.
I like that.
I have a men's company, a men's clothing brand and goods company called Thorough Brand Company. On IG, you'll see me, Dr. J Thorough on IG. We're going to try to push the culture forward and get some grown man initiatives going.
I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Of course, y'all know I'm DJ KO. At Culturally Distinct, that's me. Make sure you tune in all platforms. Hit everybody up that's on the show. Guys, I appreciate you. I love you. You can't do nothing about it. I love you. Appreciate it. Much love. Peace out.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah.